Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are, together again on the radio. Andrew writes in and says, hey, Tom, I have been going fairly steady with a woman, 32 years old, for 4 years. Does anyone say that anymore? I'm going steady. I'm going steady. He says, I'm 38. There have been lots of turbulent times, a couple of breakups, and now everything is pretty smooth. She is just acting nice and bitching very little as she wants to marry me. And I just think she has a lot of issues. She was adopted and may have some issues with needing older men as secret friends behind my back. She just seems to lie, even more than most chicks. She has a lot of feminist-type friends who all hate me. And her best pal is bi and married to a man. She was adopted at about age 2 weeks. Here is my question. Are adopted chicks even easier targets? Do they have more red flags than the average chick? Would you go out long-term with one or marry one? Are there any generalizations you can provide with respect to adopted chicks as girlfriends, such as they are needy or needy for security or more likely to be bi or sluts or what? Signed, Andrew. To my knowledge, I have only been with one adopted chick, so it could be that I never really gave a rat's ass about many of the chicks I dated. So I never bothered to ask, or they never bothered to tell. One did. One chick I dated was born in Mexico, but she grew up in the lily white community of Simi Valley, California. And her dad was a minister and just liked adopting children because that's what some ministers like to do. Take in orphans or whatever. This girl had a very white Anglo-Saxon name, but one look at her, all the plucking and waxing in the world couldn't hide the fact that she was born in Mexico. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Which, by the way, it's my taste. Olive skin, brown skin, dark skin, all of that. So that was fine with me. But she did not speak Spanish. She knew nothing about Mexico at all. And she actually was born with a name. If you knew what her birth name was, you would know she was Hispanic. But essentially, by moving to Simi Valley and changing her name and waxing, she tried to make herself fit into that elite white community. But she clearly had issues. Issues that resulted in her coming to my home and wanting me to back her up against the wall and spank her ass. She wanted all kinds of abuse heaped upon her. And she was one of these chicks who was definitely into the whole daddy thing. Not just, who's your daddy? Can I call you daddy? And I was all too happy to inject a little fatherhood into her. Now, that does not necessarily apply to all adopted chicks. That was my one experience that I know of with a chick who was adopted. So maybe some of you have had experience with this, can give us an idea. Or those of you girls who have been adopted and have issues or baggage, or you're hypersexual, or you're asexual, I mean, I really like to try to get a picture of what this is like. We have talked on the air before about the very delicate issue. It was a delicate issue, but we talked about it. Of guys looking for vulnerabilities in chicks. And if you find out that a chick was in some way diddled or physically abused as a child, wasn't that a sign that she was easy? Even though it would be politically incorrect to suggest that you'd want to get a list of all those girls and start working your way down it, is that a fair thing to say? And, of course, all the politically correct people called in and said how horrible this is, how terrible this is, you're even talking about this. But then a number of chicks who fit this description called in and said, oh, yeah, you bet, and yes, I've got tattoos, and yes, I smoke, and yes, I've got nipple rings, and yes, I like being spanked, and yes, yes, yes. Can any of these things be said about chicks who've been adopted? So whether you have dated adopted chicks, married an adopted chick, or whether you are one, maybe you think this is an unfair or an outrageous thing to ask. Maybe you enthusiastically agree. I'd like to find out. 1-800-5800-TOM.
There are women out there who enjoy giving oral sex, and I don't want the men out there to be disappointed and think that they can't find a woman like that because we're out here.
I know you are, and a lot of guys are still looking for you, baby.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Andrew on the cell phone. You're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Listen, I'm an adopted boy. It's 17 years old, and I got this sister who is, I think she's 20. She's 19, actually, and she is the biggest slut. She's adopted, too, and it is just disgraceful. We once had we have a jacuzzi.
Now, let me ask you a question before you tell us about the jacuzzi, and I do want to hear all about that. Do you think the fact that she's a slut has anything to do with being adopted? I mean, you made the connection?
She's had this complexion about being adopted. I mean, about for years. She's had this real problem with it, and I don't even think about it. She seems to dwell over it every day it enters her life, so it's a big thing for her.
Has she looked for her birth parents or anything?
She has looked for her birth parents with nothing came up. So.
All right. So what happened with the jacuzzi?
Well, my sister she's unbelievable, Tom. She invited these boys over for a jacuzzi. A jacuzzi is a little 2-seater jacuzzi, and she invited 6 guys were in there. And this when the jacuzzi was finished, we had to call it stopped working. We had to call somebody to pump it out, and they said that the cause was semen.
No.
Semen.
Come on.
I'm not. How could you make this up? And why would I make this up about my sister?
Wow. Are you serious?
I'm serious. She smokes. She has a tattoo on her back, and it's disgusting. She's horrible. And I'd hear stories. She used to go to school and sleep on the lawn. She wouldn't wear any panties. I'd always get complaints because she would sleep out on the lawn in this miniskirt and nothing underneath it.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can imagine how proud my parents are of her.
Well, there you go. My God. So the question then, Andrew, this is an ethics question, okay? Would that be a question to ask a woman, like, when you meet her? Or is this, like, if a woman met you at a bar and said, hey, I'm adopted, would you, like, go in for the kill knowing what you know?
I would be weirded out that was the first thing she said, because then she'd obviously have issues with it. It's weird. That should never come up. It shouldn't.
See, I think any chick who's that easy has some kind of issues, and I just cash in. The thing is, I don't hang around later on for the outcome. I would just want to hit it and quit it.
Right. Well, if you hit it and quit it, that's fine. But
gosh, you'd probably a screamer rather than a moaner.
Well, it's a train wreck, whatever it is. So if you want to hit it and get out of there, that's what I decide.
Oh, that's what they're doing with your sister. They're hitting it in the hot tub.
Well, obviously, they're not sticking around because she is a train wreck, man. The longest relationship she's held was about 2 weeks. And
2 weeks?
Screaming.
Wow.
Screaming.
Unbelievable.
Just screaming. Tom, it's out of this world.
All right, Andrew.
All right, Tom. Take it easy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Mark on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, what's going on?
Not much, Mark.
Just chilling right here at work on my break.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a story.
Right.
All right. It was about a year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Right.
I met this chick in high school.
Yes.
And she called me up for my birthday party, you know, whatever. It was after my birthday party, you know, I was kind of drunk.
Yes.
And then she wanted to meet me at a school, you know, there's family at my house still. So I went around to the school behind my house.
Yeah.
So we go behind the bungalow. You know, we boned down, whatever. And I told her, how about my friend, you know? And she goes, what? She goes, you know, I'm not too sure about this. I was like, all right, let me see. And then, you know, I just asked her, I'm like, are you sure, you know? And she's like, oh, all right.
All right, sure, I'll do your friend, too.
Exactly. And it turns out to be, I find out, yep, she's a foster kid.
Oh, really?
Yep.
How old was she?
She was 17 and she was 16 and I was 17 at the time.
Oh, my God. Foster child.
Yep, I was still in high school.
I see. I see. So are you saying foster children and adopted children, they are easy marks?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much almost the same thing.
Anyone who's had those issues in their life.
Yeah, because they didn't have, you know, the people there for them, so they want someone else there for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In another kind of way.
You realize the entire adoption community is plotting over this right now. They're freaking out.
Yep. But I agree, though.
All right, Mark, thank you for that. I appreciate it. This is Jonathan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, what's happening?
Not much.
Right on. Hey, I just want to give props to your screener. He's a really cool guy you got working there.
Dino.
But I was in Colorado for the past 2 years, and I hooked up with this chick who came from a foster family, and, you know, it was about, like, 10 kids or something.
Yeah.
And, man, this girl was a freak in the bed. Well, you know, she smoked, and she got tats and all that, but, man, she liked being smacked. She liked her hair pulled. I mean, the harder and the more rough I could be with her, the more she liked it. You know, and that was pretty wild. You know.
How did you make a connection? Is that a coincidence that she happened to be adopted, or did you see a definite connection between the spanking and the hair pulling and the adoption?
Well, I didn't know that all that spanking and roughness was related to that until I was like listening. You know, when you were talking earlier about that, it could be related. You know, and I was with a few other girls, and you know, none of them were ever like freaky like that. I mean, she was. Yeah, she liked it. Like, I mean, I would pull her hair. I mean, she liked it like, well, you know, I mean, I thought I was going to pull her out of her socket, you know, but, I mean, she liked it, you know, and she just happened to be adopted. So I don't know if that, you know, if that had anything to do with it, but, I mean, you know, I mean, if it did, then, well, then, you know, then she is.
Got it.
But, yeah, I mean, she liked it pretty rough. So, I mean, I think that if I met another girl and she said she was adopted, I would be a little weird about that, you know, and when we got into bed, and, you know, if she liked it, well, then, yeah, you know, and I'm not too into adopted chicks. Because,
you're not?
No, not really.
Well, what if you believed that they were easy?
If they were easy? Well, then, yeah, you know, hit it and quit it. But I definitely would not have another relationship.
Oh, you wouldn't have a relationship with adopted chicks?
Right, because I had a relationship with this girl for, you know, for a little while.
All right, so the baggage is too much to get into a relationship, but you would do her as a booty call or a one-night stand or something like that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. You know, I mean, that wouldn't stop me. But, yeah, definitely relationship-wise, ain't going there no more. You know, I mean, I think that just after that one experience, I'll, you know, no more adopted chicks, you know, whining and dining. I remember, you know, wine and dine, yeah, and then, you know, you get some. But after that, you know, no leisure time.
Got it. Jonathan, thank you. Eric on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, what's happening, Tom?
Not much, Eric.
Well, like I said, I'm a relatively new listener. I've only been listening for a few months, man. But you know what? Today, dude, you totally hit it right on the head.
Really?
Oh, yeah, dude. Now, I would happen to be with an adopted chick for, almost 8 years. And that was probably, relationship-wise, it was the worst. I mean, and you could take it 10 notches below my worst. I mean, she's got more issues than Time magazine.
Really?
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's a lot of issues.
As far as in the sack, man, there was one spectacular piece of ass.
So great in the sack, but just a boatload of issues.
Yeah, so I would definitely say hit it and quit it. And
See, that's what I'm always saying. Chicks with issues are the best in bed. The problem you run into is when you meet a chick who's normal and well-adjusted, she's just not as good in the sack as those freaks who've had problems in their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to kind of pick and choose, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like you had said just a few weeks ago, man. It's like digging the trash.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason somebody put it there, man.
That's right.
And, you got no reason.
That's my favorite analogy. That's even better than comparing women to cars.
Oh, yeah.
The reason you picked that chick out of the recycle bin is because somebody else had a reason to put her in there.
Yeah, and I didn't know she'd been married 3 times before, and every one of her husbands, and she'd push him to the point where they beat the hell out of her and got rid of her.
Right, exactly.
You know, and I mean, I thought that maybe she had gotten a raw deal or something, so I'd given her the benefit of the doubt, man. You know, she's got every issue that there is and then some, man. And as the end result of this, she ended up turning most of my family against me. By the way, I'm a kidney patient on dialysis, 38 years old, and basically got me put out in the street. I lost my car, my job, my house, my family, everything.
My God.
Oh, yeah, and I'm trying to recover from that right now. I'm living in a $400 car as we speak.
Outrageous.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I've always been over.
But you're still paying that cell phone bill, and I like that.
Oh, yeah. I got to keep a phone, man. I got to handle my business.
I understand.
I'm glad, man, that you're out there. I wish I'd have known about you 10 years ago.
Me too. You'd still have that kidney working.
Yep. Well, you got me to grow my balls back, that's for sure.
That part is good. I'm glad I played some part in your urological track there. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's David on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
What's up, Tom?
Not much, David.
Hey, dude, listen, I think you're totally right about this. I got a cousin. She was adopted by my mom's sister, and they had 2 boys prior to that who, came up, and they had a lot of money, my aunt and uncle, and these, the 2 guys they've grown up to be outstanding. They both went to college and graduated. But this chick that they adopted, she's had every opportunity that anyone could ever want. They, like I said, they have all this money, and she just basically ruined it and now she doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't want to work. She dates right now she's dating some thug looking like this black guy. Nothing against blacks, but she does it out of spite, I think, just because she knows that it pisses everybody off.
Wow. Is that so?
That's right. And listen, I forgot about this one. I didn't tell Dino. I got another cousin.
Is she, let me ask you this question, David. Is she particularly easy?
I don't see her enough to really know if she's easy, but I know that she was sexually active at a pretty young age. I heard my aunt was telling my mom about how she had heard her talking about stuff like that. This was at like 14, 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And just by the way she acts when I do see her, I'd probably guess that she's, quite promiscuous.
Wow. Thank you for that. Doug on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm okay, Doug.
Excellent. Good to hear. Oh, man, where do I start? This gal, I dated her off and on for 6 years. She's an adopted gal. Her parents were fairly well-to-do, and she had 3 strikes against her. She's adopted, spoiled rotten, and a single child.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, all right, but how about being easy? That's the other question here. How about...
Easy? It was the first night, tagged her.
Tagged her first night,
she stuck around, but like you say, the psychos are good in bed. She's a nutcase, and she was terrible in bed.
Really?
Yeah.
A nutcase who was terrible in bed. Wow.
She was a dead fish and smelled like one.
Wow.
Oh, man. And the guy that wrote in that letter, man, oh, man, run for the hills. Get away from it. Man, don't stick around that stuff. Life's too short. You gotta have fun.
So what you're saying is nail them, but no relationships with adopted chicks.
Oh, nail them all and no relationships.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not worth the while. It's not worth your time. It costs too much, and it's too much of an emotional strain and drain. Life's to be enjoyed.
Well, you won't get an argument from me on that, Doug. Thank you for the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is Nick. Nick is listening to us online from Merrillville, Indiana. Nick, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello. Yeah.
Hey, Tom, how's it going?
It's going okay, Nick.
Well, I got a great story for you. Just happened this summer. My uncle's always had adopted kids living with him and my aunt, do-gooders for the community. Well, they got a girl about 2 years ago who we started calling her the family whore. She would come over to Christmas dinner in a leather skirt, halter top.
She was adopted?
Yes, she was adopted.
Okay.
And they knew she was a handful. She'd always be telling everybody her mom would be, how bad she was. Well, just this past summer, she turned 21. I was out visiting my aunt and uncle. Got really loaded. Everybody was partying. That night, I'm sleeping, and I wake up, and there's a vacuum cleaner going off.
No.
Dead serious, Tom. There I was. And everyone's sleeping in the next room over, and she was there. We started talking. Earlier in that night, she had tried to get me to do a body shot off of her. I was like, have you lost your mind? Not going to do that in front of everybody, maybe in private. But the wildest experience. Most screwed up girl in the head you'd ever meet, though.
Wow, wow, wow.
Good times, though.
Like good in the sack.
Oh, yeah, great. I mean, for her just to pull off and do that, and we had never been close at all. We never talked much other than holidays.
Right.
Like I said, she's already turned 21, so she doesn't live there anymore, but she comes around once in a while. And it's just screwed up in the head. Screwed up in the head big time. Run for the hills, I say.
So, nailer and dumper.
Bumper and dumper, like you always say.
Bumper and dumper, that's right.
I'm bringing your style out here to the Chicagoland area. I'm teaching all my buddies about it.
That sounds good, Nick.
All right, Tom, you take care, buddy.
Thanks a lot for the call.
Tom. 1-800-5800-TOM.
Oh, when I drink tequila, things happen.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Los Angeles, another rip-snorting edition of the Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Adopted chicks. Are they easier? You're going to say, I can't believe you're asking that question. Hey! I'll ask any question I want. Kelly on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
What's up, Tom?
Not much, Kelly.
There's no doubt they are, dude. I've known it since I was like 16.
Really? Do tell. How do you know about that?
Me and my friends all had our way with the same girl within, high school or whatever. And I lost my virginity to her, and I didn't even know what to do with it. She was crazy.
How so?
Say, like what you guys were talking about earlier with the hair pulling and spanking. She'd want to do it with her parents, 20 feet away with no door on the room. She was crazy. I didn't even know what I was getting into,
Wow.
But everybody would get her way with her, and she'd always try to do the same trick where she'd bone somebody and then guilt trip them to going out with her. And she tried doing it to me, and I'd seen it happen 3 times before. So I told her, I was like, no, I don't. She was asking me to. She was like, F me, And I was like, no, I don't want to do it because I don't want to hurt your feelings, knowing full well she was still going to want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I got a boner for 3 or 4 months, and nobody even knew about it because, you don't want your name on this girl, you know what I'm saying? Worked out perfectly.
You just want to carve your initials on her. That's about all.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was my, virginity, so I got to have sex with this girl, multiple times a day for the first 3 months I've ever had sex. It was perfect.
Yeah, and that was it.
Yeah, and then I was just like, I don't think we should have sex anymore. And it was over. The easiest thing I've ever done.
Well, how much I'm glad to hear, Kelly. This is Jesse on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how's it going?
It's okay.
Hey, so I dated this girl back when I was, I think, 16. I was junior in high school. And she was adopted, single parent. Her mom was a single parent. And I don't know, from the get-go, she was cheating on me. And I threw a red flag when she cheated on her boyfriend with me. but she dumped her boyfriend, hooked up with me, and then she was still sleeping with him while she was with me.
And you're saying this because she's adopted?
Yeah, I think it's because she was adopted. Plus, she went into a girl's home. She was on cocaine, smoked, of course, and I think she's got issues because, you know, she feels her parents didn't want her.
How was she in the sack?
Oh, man. I don't know. She was kind of a dead lay, but...
But she'd do anything you wanted?
She didn't, but she liked me to pound it as hard as I could.
Really?
Yeah.
And you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but, you know, after she... Oh, yeah, that's right. She went into a girl's home because she was on coke and stuff, and I broke it off. Long-distance relationship, screw that. So, later on, I was, I think, a senior by then. She got out of the girl's home. Of course, I took my place and started hitting it again. I was with some other girl, and she turned around, and she was kind of crazy toward the end.
Right. So, would you seek women like this out?
Would I what?
Would you seek women like this out?
Not really. I'm not into women with issues, but, you know...
But how about for to tag someone for one night?
Yeah, I would do that.
You would. So, would you, like, the minute you heard that, that would be like a green light, like, oh, yeah.
You betcha. I mean, who's...
Yeah, you know, you'd put that on the list with the tats, with the cigarettes, with the drinking of certain drinks like Jack Daniels and Southern Comfort. These are chicks. The chick with the huge Harley Davidson logo tattooed above her ass crack.
Oh, yeah, I'd go for that.
But yeah, I'm saying you'd put that on the list of potential reasons to think that somebody is easy.
Yep, definitely.
Right. All right, Jesse, thank you for that. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is James on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, James. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm okay, James.
Good to hear you. I was married to an adopted girl. Her aunt had adopted her, and she was convicted for domestic violence. While I was married to her, she beat me up. And prior to that, she was constantly trying to get me to beat her. But in bed, she was incredible.
Really? We're hearing a pattern here.
It's kind of embarrassing that I actually married this girl, but she was incredibly good looking. She was exotic. Perfect hourglass figure, long dark hair, big dark eyes, beautiful lips.
And she'd do anything with anyone.
She used to have me play out a scenario that she was a prostitute, and she'd dress like one, have me pick her up in downtown Seattle, play the whole part. Just unreal.
Really?
And then she started hitting me. And I mean, smacking me in the face while I was sleeping, doing crazy, crazy stuff.
How was that?
I didn't like it. It was really emotionally distraught because I'm a totally nonviolent person. She got pregnant about 3 months after we were married. I have a son. She eventually got convicted for domestic violence because she hit me in the face and the neck 15 times in public, trying to get me to hit her. And I went through a $12,000 court ordeal to gain half custody of my son. But let me tell you, in bed, unreal. She'd do anything.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And I mean, just even before we were married, it was like she was very, very aggressive with me sexually.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have to ask for anything.
Really?
But she is absolutely nuts. I mean, nuts.
Unbelievable. Chris on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Hi, Chris.
When I was in college, me and a couple buddies, we started up an escort service. We used to keep on staff anywhere from 8 to 10 girls at any given time.
Uh-huh.
And at least 6 out of the 8 to 10 girls were always adopted.
Are you serious?
Always.
Wow.
And what everybody's saying about them having issues, these are the biggest drama queens you'll ever meet.
Really?
Oh, they are attention whores times 10.
Wow.
Especially the ones that like grew up knowing that they were adopted. The ones that found out later, you know, they usually don't have as many issues. But the ones that grew up knowing that they were adopted, like the ones that were adopted at like 3 or 4 or 5 years old,
yeah,
or the ones that grew up in foster homes, these girls were so easy. When I had this escort service, I never in my life had so much sex.
Really?
Oh, all I had to do was ask.
Wow.
And it was just like pick a girl one night. You know?
They had such low self-esteem, they'd have sex with you any time.
Oh, they do. I think most of them did it just because they knew I was like one of the owners, so they wanted to keep the job.
So would it be your opinion that this is a trait of adopted chicks?
Without a doubt. In the 4.5, almost 5 years that we had this business, this is how we worked through college.
Right.
This is how we paid for our college.
Uh-huh.
So in the 4.5, 5 years that we had this business, yeah, I'd definitely say it was a trait. Because, I mean, it was just, we wouldn't even touch the college chicks. We just put an ad in the paper saying, you know, dancers needed, you know, full nudity required, or whatever, you know, and the girls would come in and they'd apply. Most of them you'd be able to nail right there on the interview.
Holy cow. Now, wait a minute. Before I let you go, Chris, Addison, do you hear what Chris is saying here? What do you think about that?
Well, I am adopted, and I don't think adoption is make or break it being a freak.
Chris says he definitely believes that.
I'm not saying that every adopted girl is like that, much like Tom would say, but the stereotype to adopted women would probably fall into that. The majority of women that have been adopted have created some mental issues, some insecurities.
Possibly, but you know what I say to them? Grow up. I mean, that's just like saying, oh, I was raised by an alcoholic father and I had this or that. You know what? Grow up.
Yeah, but then if they grew up, our beds would be cold.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, not all of them are that way. I've met some very nice adopted women, but the majority of the ones that I've met have had severe issues.
Oh, sure, and I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that they do.
And they're freaks in bed.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but you know what? You can be a freak without being adopted.
No, but
you can. But that you see, what we're saying is, if you're an adopted chick, it appears you're more likely to be a freak in bed than if you're not.
Possibly.
All right.
The more issues you have, the more likely you are to be wild.
Well, you know why. I mean, if you break it down, you know why women are doing that. Women are doing it because they're looking for love and affection, and they're equating that with sex.
Most of the girls in my situation were looking for a job.
That would be true. But I think if you look at the big picture, that's what they're trying to do, is they're using sex to get love.
So then the question is, Addison, is there something wrong with it? Like, if you know a chick is adopted, shouldn't you go up and work her?
I'm adopted. Tell me, should you work me?
That's a good question.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
The only thing God did, he screwed up with a woman, gave her a brain.
Are you suggesting on a woman a brain is like tonsils? They don't really do anything. You can have them removed?
Yeah.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Carrie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
Not much, Carrie.
I want to tell you, my wife's adopted, and she's a straight-up nut.
Do tell.
Well, the way that she's a nut is that she's actually had to take a psych evaluation to see what kind of job she even qualifies for. She basically doesn't seem to understand that there's a certain way to parent things and stuff like that, and she just wants to do whatever she feels like, and she has tried to nail me with different all the time, and excuse my language, and it's just like, whatever. And she's just a
Now, did you know she was a nut before you married her?
She wasn't as nutty as what she got to be when she became.
But if she was a nut, why'd you marry her?
Oh yeah. And I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess you can't hear me, or you're not listening. I don't know. But thanks a lot for the call.
The Tom Leykis Show.